So hello you guys and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about walkers. I feel like in more recent seasons walkers have just become like a nuisance. They're this thing that yeah they're there but like nobody really pays attention to them because they're not the biggest threat anymore. I mean in season 1 and season 2 walkers were the be all and end all, like they were the only threat that the group were opposed to. But since meeting like the governor, since Terminus, since Negan, walkers seem just like a nuisance now. They're that thing that's there but nobody is really bothered by them, apart from when poor Sasha came out of the fucking coffin. I always loved the walkers. I always found it really interesting how they did the walker makeup and the costumes they put on the walkers, how they tried so hard to constantly get the walkers to look different, that we're not looking at the same dead people all the time. I mean, it takes anywhere from an hour or 2 hours upwards in a makeup chair to be made up as a walker, which I think must be incredible. I mean, imagine getting your face done by someone and then looking in the mirror and not even being able to recognise yourself. So big props to Greg Nicotero and the whole makeup and special effects team. They do an incredible fucking job. Greg actually has been a walker a few times on the show and it's hilarious anytime he is, because if you watch the behind the scenes and if you follow the making of the show really closely, it feels like the fourth wall is being broken because you're like, ah, that's Greg Nicotero, he does the makeup, look at him, he's a walker. So one of the most interesting things I think about the walker aspect in the show is that walkers, zombies, never existed in the Walking Dead universe until the outbreak happened. So you had no Romero zombies, you had no Thriller, you know, so when the zombies came along, that's why nobody knew what to call them, because they'd never seen anything like that before. So I think that was a really smart idea to put in the Walking Dead universe, that they'd never seen zombies before. Another really cool thing about the making of zombies is I've heard that they have to go to a thing called zombie school. So if you're an extra and you're going to be a walker, you got to go to this thing called zombie school where they teach you how to walk, how to adjust your posture to look dead, how to get the movements and the sounds down. They teach you how to do it. And also I read somewhere that they base the movements off a walker as if you're coming out of a club at like 2 o'clock in the morning drunk. I think it was Nicotero that said this, that to get the posture down, to just imagine a bunch of drunk people. If that's the case, they should come to Ireland and scout out a few walkers. All you need to do is go into town on a Saturday night at about 2:30 in the morning and there's walkers everywhere. Now to talk about the actual walkers, my favourite walkers, I'm not going to do like a top 5 or a top 10 because I will get confused and fucking get off track, so I'm just going to do the ones I loved in general. I love any walker that has been human. So you had Andrea's sister Amy, Sophia, Shane, Merle, Morgan's wife, I think her name was Jenny, and then more recently Sasha. I just think there's something so unnerving and something so chilling about watching a character be alive and then watching them as a walker. It's just Jesus, especially with Sasha and Merle, the two of them, because you got to know them as a human and then you have to see them as a walker and you know that they were a person with thoughts and fucking, you know, real life human things going on with them, and then they're just dead, they're just gone. I think that shows like the brutality of this world, but it always gets to me when you see a human and you learn the human before they become a walker. It's just, that fucks me up, especially with Morgan's wife, because you got to see him struggle with killing her when he was setting up the gun and when he was looking for her, and when she tried the door handle, oh my god, I was like, fuck no, stab the bitch in the eyeball through the fucking looky hole, the look hole you can look out, stab her. Now, something that people point out a lot about walkers is in season 1 and 2, the walkers were almost smart. They kind of used their brains a lot more than they do in newer episodes. A few people have said that's because the walkers were fresh. They were fresh back in season 1 and 2 and they've gotten deader as time went on, so they've gotten stupider. But I think it's mainly down to Frank Darabont. Frank Darabont was working on the show for season 1 and I think season 2 as well. And he had a different vision for the zombies. He wanted them to be slightly smarter than they were. Of course, that vision didn't hold up, and now we have the walkers that are just fucking thick as 2 planks. I think I prefer them stupid, because when they're smart, they don't really feel like zombies. Do you know what I mean? When they can try door handles and climb walls and shit, they don't really feel like zombies. A walker I've loved this season was the Spike Walker. Do you remember the walker in with the trash people? He had all the spikes sticking out of him. If I saw him coming towards me, I would just accept death. I'd be like, well, number 1, he's a fucking zombie. 2, he's got spikes. I'm gonna die either by being bit or being stabbed to fucking death. I would just give up. If anybody but Rick had been up against that walker, they would have fucking died. I loved him, and I loved the way that they're always coming up with these new zombies that look fresh. Like you had the riot gear, you had the charcoal. I loved them as well. Do you know the charred zombies, the burnt looking fellas? This was back in like season 4 or 5, I think. Oh man, they had to get the pyrotech fella in, the fella that deals with like all the practical effects and stuff. They had to get him in to figure out how to make smoke come off the walkers, make it look like they were on fire. The amount of effort that goes into creating these new zombies, it's unreal. But yeah, I loved the spiky walker because we hadn't seen anything like him in a while. We hadn't seen a walker with kind of armour, apart from the riot gear. But they kind of had unintentional armour, they just died in their riot gear. But this spiky fella, I think the spikes were put into him after he died to just make him like undefeatable. Imagine being that poor walker. I mean, you die, which sucks as it is, and then you get spikes stuck in you. And then you gotta walk around and fucking stick people with your spikes. It's a sad fucking life. Another walker I loved was the Cherokee Rose walker. This walker, I think he had Cherokee Rose. There were Cherokee Roses near him, and then I think he had one stuck in his ribcage. That was a nod to the earlier episode where Daryl gives Carol a Cherokee Rose for Sophia. Greg Nicotero decided to work the Cherokee Roses into this walker, or into the scene, to kind of, you know, give a nod at that little throwback, and I loved that. And of course, you gotta mention the Well Walker and Bicycle Girl, two of the probably most well-known walkers. Bicycle Girl, she gives me the chills. I think it's because how hopeless she is. Like, the bitch has no legs, she can't get up and chase you. So she wasn't really a threat, but she was so haunting to look at, and her face and the way she was reaching out, like, oh Jesus, she made me feel like uneasy, even though she wasn't even a threat because she couldn't get up off the ground. If I was Rick, I would have rolled over her face with my bicycle. I'd have been like, die, please. And stay dead this time. But watching the behind the scenes to that was fucking hilarious, because the actress that played Bicycle Girl, she had to wear like green leggings so they could green screen out her legs. And seeing a walker walk around, well, being a walker from the waist up and then wearing a pair of green leggings and just chilling behind the camera like, oh yeah. It's so weird. I love watching the behind the scenes to The Walking Dead because you get to see the walkers out of character. Like the scene in the premiere of season 7 where Rick is dangling. It's where he's with Negan in the RV, and he runs and he jumps off the RV and he's hanging off one of the walkers, and all the walkers are underneath him like reaching, trying to eat him before Negan starts shooting. That scene, if you watch the behind the scenes for that scene, there's a scene where Andrew can't hold on anymore and he screams like look out or something, or I'm gonna fall, and all the walkers break character instantly. They're standing there, they're like and then Andrew speaks and they're like, oh yeah, okay, and they all just back off. It's so weird. But I love watching the behind the scenes, and I love watching how it's done as well, how the makeup is done and stuff like that. I loved the well walker because of how much of a nuisance he was. It's like they needed the water from the well, and then it's like, this fucking fuck is sitting at the bottom of the well, so we gotta get him out. And he's just like, when they're pulling him up and everything's going so well, and then he just whoosh, and his belly rips in half and he sprays his guts all over the water. It's like, dude, you were a nuisance before, now fuck you. So I loved him because of how much of a fucking hassle he was. My favourite walker of all time on The Walking Dead is one that actually goes unnoticed most times. It's the walker that was in the trunk of the car. Maggie opened the trunk of the car. It's this fucking woman tied up in the boot of a car, or the trunk of a car. There's two possibilities for this. One, she was kidnapped. So she was kidnapped, the person threw her in the boot of the car, drove off, and then it has you thinking, well, what happened that the car was just like abandoned there? Do you know what I mean? Were they overrun by walkers? Was there herd? What? And she would have died as well on her own in the boot of the car, either starvation or suffocation. She would have died on her own in the boot and then turned into a walker and just been left there, not even able to get out and walk around and start her new life as a walker. Or there's the other possibility. Maybe the outbreak had already happened and was well known among everyone, and maybe she was somebody's mother or sister or daughter or girlfriend or wife, and maybe somebody couldn't kill her, and when she turned into a walker they couldn't leave her, so they tied her up and put her into the boot and took Walker Lady with them. Because I know that's something I'd do. If I was in the apocalypse and my mother turned into a walker, I'd be like, stop it, be good. I'd like tie her up and bring her around like Michonne and the Pets. That would be me. I'd bring my mother everywhere, be like, come on mummy, we're going. I wouldn't be able to bring myself to kill someone I love, even if they were already dead and a walker. So maybe that's what happened to her. But I love that there's a story behind her, that she's just chilling in the boot of the car, dead. It's like, how did she get there? Who put her there? How long has she been there? And that's something that a lot of people forget about walkers as well, is that they were people with lives and families and hopes and dreams and jobs. And now they're just that nuisance that stumbles onto screen like, trying to kill someone. It's sad. But yeah, they were just a few of my favourite walkers. I thought I'd chat about it with you guys, and maybe you guys would leave your favourite walkers in the comments. The Walking Dead, whenever I'm talking about the show to somebody that doesn't watch the show, I always say it's about the people. It's not about the zombies or the walkers, it's about the people and the people's stories and the struggle and the humanity and the humane aspect of the whole thing. But the walkers do get overlooked a lot as well. There's a fly in here. So I just wanted to give a little chat about my favourite walkers and stuff about walkers and stuff. I said stuff twice there. And plus, so much effort and energy goes into creating the walkers as well, that like they deserve, the special effects team for The Walking Dead deserve fucking medals or some shit. And I know everyone's going to bring up that CGI idea. Let's not speak of that. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about walkers. But yes, that's all that I had to say today, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this little one-off video. I'll probably be oh, it's one of those days where I just can't talk. I'll probably be doing videos very similar to this one within the next few weeks, like one a week or something. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you have a lovely week, and I will talk to you all soon.